Welcome, friend, to this quiet corner where we explore the hidden sorrows of Pelican Town, where tonight we will walk through the tragic backstories of Shane and Pam, two souls who carry burdens that most of the town doesn't fully understand, two people whose struggles with alcoholism and depression and loss have shaped who they are, how they live, and how they interact with the world around them. If these stories help you find rest, if the slow unravelling of their pain and their attempts at healing guides you gently into sleep, I'd be grateful if you'd consider subscribing, not because I need the numbers, but because there are others out there searching for these deep dives into the characters they love, and subscribing helps them find their way here, helps the algorithm understand that. Slow, thoughtful explorations of game lore and character depth matter. But whether you subscribe or not, you're welcome here. The stories will unfold the same. Now let your breathing slow, let your body sink deeper into comfort, let your shoulders drop and your jaw unclench, and let us begin our journey through the lives of Shane and Pam, through their losses and their struggles, and their small attempts at finding hope in a world that has not been kind to them. Close your eyes now and picture Pelican Town, that small farming community nestled in Stardew Valley, where everyone knows everyone, where the seasons turn and the crops grow and life moves at a pace that feels slower, gentler, more connected to the earth and to the rhythms of nature than the frantic pace of the city. Pelican Town is a place of beauty, of community, of simple pleasures and honest work. But it is also a place where people carry pain, where behind the friendly greetings and the festival celebrations, there are stories of loss and struggle and quiet desperation, stories that are not always visible, not always spoken about, not always acknowledged by those who have not experienced similar pain. Let your breathing match the rhythm of the valley, slow and steady, peaceful and calm, as we explore the lives of Shane and Pam, as we understand what brought them to where they are, as we witness their struggles and their small victories and their ongoing attempts to survive, to cope, to find meaning in lives that have been marked by tragedy and loss. Shane lives at Marnie's ranch in Cindersap Forest, rents a room from his aunt at a really good price, works as a stock clerk at Joja Mart, and spends his evenings at the Stardrop Saloon, drinking beer, eating pizza, trying to numb the pain that he carries with him every day, the depression that weighs on him like a physical burden, the sense of hopelessness that makes it hard to see a future, hard to imagine that things could be different, hard to believe that life is worth living. Shane is Marnie's nephew, is the godfather to a young girl named Jazz, and these relationships, these connections to family, are both what keeps him going and what adds to his burden, because Shane feels responsible for Jazz, feels that he needs to be there for her, needs to take care of her, but he also feels that he is failing, that he is not the person she deserves, that his depression and his drinking make him a poor guardian, a bad influence, someone who should not be trusted with the care of a child. Jazz is Shane's goddaughter, lives with him and Marnie at the ranch, is a young girl who lost her parents, who came to live with her Aunt Marnie and her godfather Shane, after a tragedy that is never fully explained in the game, that is hinted at but never detailed, that remains a shadow over both Shane's and Jazz's lives, a loss that shaped them both, that created the circumstances that brought them to Marnie's ranch. That made Shane responsible for a child when he was already struggling with his own demons, already battling depression, already using alcohol to cope with pain that he did not know how to process or to heal. The death of Jazz's parents, the loss that brought her to the ranch, is the foundation of Shane's tragedy, is the event that transformed his life, that gave him a responsibility he was not prepared for, that added guilt and obligation to the depression and hopelessness he was already experiencing. Shane does not talk about what happened to Jazz's parents, does not explain the circumstances of their death, does not share the details of how he became her godfather, or why he and Marnie are now responsible for raising her. The game leaves this deliberately vague, leaves room for players to imagine, to speculate, to fill in the gaps with their own understanding of what might have happened. What kind of tragedy could have taken Jazz's parents and left Shane and Marnie to pick up the pieces, to care for a grieving child, to try to provide stability and love and a sense of home when they themselves are struggling, when Shane is battling depression and alcoholism, when Marnie is running a ranch and trying to maintain her own life, while also taking in her nephew and her niece and providing them with a place to stay. The weight of this responsibility, the burden of caring for Jazz while also dealing with his own mental health struggles, is crushing for Shane, is part of what drives him to drink, part of what makes him feel hopeless, part of what makes him believe that he is failing, that he is not good enough, that Jazz deserves better than what he can provide. Shane loves Jazz, cares about her deeply, wants to be there for her, wants to be a good godfather. But he also feels inadequate, feels that his depression and his drinking make him unworthy of her trust, make him a poor role model, make him someone who is more likely to hurt her than to help her. And this feeling of inadequacy, this sense of failure, this belief that he is not good enough adds to his depression, creates a cycle where his pain leads to drinking, and his drinking leads to more pain, and the cycle continues, deepening, worsening, pulling him further down into hopelessness and despair. Shane works at Joja Mart, that corporate store that represents everything that is wrong with modern capitalism, that treats its workers as disposable, that pays minimum wage, that offers no benefits, that creates an environment where employees are just numbers, just cogs in a machine, just bodies to stock shelves and run registers and be replaced when they burn out or quit or can no longer tolerate the soul-crushing monotony of the work. Shane hates his job at Joja Mart, feels trapped there, feels that he has no other options, no other skills, no other way to earn money to pay his rent to Marnie, to contribute to Jass's care, to survive in a world that seems to offer him nothing but more pain, more struggle, more reasons to believe that life is not worth living. The job at Joja Mart is not just employment, is not just a way to earn money, it is a symbol of Shane's trapped state, of his lack of options, of his belief that he is stuck in a life that he did not choose, that he cannot escape, that will continue to grind him down until there is nothing left. Shane's daily routine is monotonous, is depressing, is a cycle of work and drinking and sleep that offers no joy, no hope, no sense of purpose or meaning. Shane wakes up, goes to work at Joja Mart, stocks shelves, deals with customers, endures the corporate environment and the meaningless tasks and the sense that his time and his life are being wasted on work that does not matter, that does not contribute to anything meaningful, that simply exists to make money for a corporation that does not care about him or about anyone else who works there. After work, Shane goes to the Stardrop Saloon, sits at the bar, drinks beer, eats pizza, tries to numb the pain, tries to forget about his job and his responsibilities and his depression, tries to find some small moment of relief, some brief escape from the weight of his existence, some temporary reprieve from the hopelessness that defines his life. Let your body relax completely now. Let the tension drain from your muscles. Let your breathing become so slow and so gentle that you barely notice it, as we explore Shane's depression, as we understand what he is experiencing, as we witness the darkness that he carries with him, the thoughts that plague him, the sense of hopelessness that makes it hard to see a reason to continue living. Shane suffers from depression, from a mental illness that is not just sadness, not just feeling down, but is a profound sense of hopelessness, a belief that life is not worth living, that the future holds nothing but more pain, that there is no point in trying, no point in hoping, no point in believing that things could be different. Shane's depression is clinical, is a medical condition, is something that affects his brain chemistry, his ability to experience joy, his capacity to see possibilities, his sense of self-worth, and his belief in his own value as a person. Shane's depression manifests in his drinking, in his rude attitude toward the player when they first meet, in his isolation, in his belief that he is worthless, that he is a burden, that the world would be better off without him. Shane pushes people away, is hostile to attempts at friendship, is dismissive of kindness, because he does not believe that he deserves kindness, does not believe that anyone could genuinely care about him, does not believe that he has anything to offer, any value to provide, any reason for someone to want to know him or to spend time with him. Shane's rudeness is not just personality, is not just being unfriendly, it is a defense mechanism, is a way of protecting himself from the pain of connection, from the vulnerability of letting someone in, from the risk of being hurt or disappointed or abandoned by someone who might initially seem to care, but who will eventually, Shane believes, realize that he is not worth the effort, not worth the time, not worth caring about. Shane's daily life before his recovery is a study in quiet desperation, is a routine that offers no joy, no hope, no sense that tomorrow will be any different from today, any better than yesterday, any more bearable than the endless string of days that have come before. Shane wakes up in his small room at Marnie's ranch, wakes up with a hangover more often than not, wakes up with the weight of depression already pressing down on him before he even opens his eyes, before he even remembers where he is, before he even has time to think about the day ahead and all the reasons why he does not want to face it. Shane lies in bed, stares at the ceiling, tries to find the motivation to get up, to get dressed, to go to work, to face another day of stocking shelves and dealing with customers and pretending that he is fine, that he is functional, that he is not falling apart inside, that he is not thinking about how much easier it would be if he just did not wake up, if he just did not have to do this, anymore if he just did not exist. Shane drags himself out of bed, gets dressed in his JojaMart uniform, that blue and orange corporate outfit that he hates, that represents everything that is wrong with his life, that is a constant reminder that he is trapped, that he has no options, that this is all his life will ever be. Shane does not eat breakfast, does not have the appetite, does not have the energy to prepare food, does not see the point in taking care of himself when he does not believe that he is worth taking care of. When he does not believe that his health matters, when he does not believe that he will be around long enough for it to make a difference. Shane leaves the ranch, walks to JojaMart, arrives at work and clocks in and begins his shift. Begins the monotonous routine of stocking shelves, of organising products, of helping customers find items, of standing behind the register and scanning purchases and making small talk that he does not mean, that he does not care about, that feels like a performance, like he is playing the role of a functional human being when inside he is empty, hollow, going through the motions because he does not know what else to do, because he has to pay rent, because he has to contribute to Jass's care, because he has responsibilities even if he does not believe that he is capable of fulfilling them, even if he does not believe that he deserves to be trusted with them. Shane's co-worker at JojaMart is Sam, the young man who works there part-time, who is friendly and optimistic and full of energy, who represents everything that Shane is not, everything that Shane used to be, before the depression took hold, before the weight of responsibility and loss crushed the life out of him. Shane is not close to Sam, does not confide in him, does not share his struggles or his pain or his thoughts about suicide. But Sam is kind to Shane, is patient with him, does not judge him for his bad moods or his rudeness or his obvious hangovers, and this kindness, this patience, this lack of judgment is something that Shane notices even if he does not acknowledge it, even if he does not respond to it, even if he pushes Sam away the same way he pushes everyone away because he does not believe that he deserves kindness, does not believe that anyone could genuinely care about him without ulterior motives, without eventually realizing that he is not worth the effort. Shane's shift at JojaMart ends, and he does not go home, does not go back to the ranch to spend time with Jazz, to help Marnie with chores, to be present in the lives of the people who care about him, because Shane does not believe that his presence is wanted, does not believe that he has anything to offer, does not believe that Jazz or Marnie would be better off with him around than without him. Shane goes to the Stardrop Saloon instead, walks through the door and takes his usual seat at the bar, orders a beer from Gus, the bartender who knows Shane's order by heart, who knows Shane's struggles even if Shane has never explicitly told him, who serves Shane his drinks without judgment, without lectures, without trying to fix him or save him or convince him to stop drinking, because Gus understands that alcoholism is not something that can be cured by a bartender refusing to serve drinks, that addiction is not something that can be overcome by cutting off access, that Shane will find alcohol somewhere even if Gus refuses to serve him, and at least here, at the Stardrop Saloon, Gus can keep an eye on him, can make sure he does not drink himself to death, can call Marnie if Shane gets too drunk to walk home, can provide a space that is warm and familiar, and where Shane feels, if not welcome, at least tolerated, at least allowed to exist without having to pretend that he is okay. Shane sits at the bar, drinks his beer, orders another and another and another, drinks until the edges of his pain begin to blur, until the weight of his depression begins to lift just slightly, until the thoughts about suicide begin to quiet, until he can breathe a little easier, until he can exist in his own skin without feeling like he is suffocating, without feeling like he is drowning, without feeling like every moment of consciousness is agony. Shane knows that the alcohol is not a solution, knows that drinking is making his problems worse, knows that his hangovers are getting more severe, that his health is deteriorating, that his relationship with Jazz is suffering, that Marnie is worried about him, that he is spiraling, that he is heading toward a cliff edge both literally and figuratively, but Shane does not know how to stop, does not know how to cope with his pain in any other way, does not have the tools or the knowledge or the support to find healthier coping mechanisms, to seek professional help, to believe that recovery is possible, that life can be different, that he can be different. Shane eats pizza at the saloon, greasy, unhealthy food that he orders because it is easy, because it is there, because he does not have to think about it or prepare it or make any decisions beyond pointing at the menu and saying pizza. Shane does not enjoy the pizza, does not taste it, does not care about the quality or the flavour or whether it is good or bad. He eats because his body needs fuel, because he knows on some level that he needs to eat to survive, even if he is not sure that he wants to survive, even if he is not sure that survival is worth the effort, even if he is not sure that there is any point in continuing to exist in a world that offers him nothing but pain and disappointment, and the constant reminder that he is failing, that he is not good enough, that he is a burden to everyone around him. Shane stays at the saloon until late, until Gus starts cleaning up, until the other patrons have left, until it is clear that it is time to go home, and then Shane stumbles out into the night, walks back to Marnie's ranch, walks unsteadily, drunkenly, dangerously, walks along the dark paths of Pelican Town where he could trip, could fall, could hurt himself, and part of him does not care. Part of him thinks that it would be easier if he did fall, if he did hurt himself, if something happened that would end this, that would make it so he did not have to wake up tomorrow and do this all over again, did not have to face another day of work and drinking and pretending that he is fine when he is not fine, when he is falling apart, when he is barely holding on. Shane arrives back at the ranch, lets himself into his room, collapses onto his bed fully clothed, does not brush his teeth, does not wash his face, does not prepare for sleep in any meaningful way, just falls onto the bed and closes his eyes and waits for unconsciousness to take him, waits for the alcohol to pull him under, waits for the brief reprieve from consciousness that sleep offers, the only time when he is not aware of his pain, not aware of his depression, not aware of the weight of his existence and the burden of continuing to live when he does not want to live, when he cannot see a reason to live, when he cannot imagine a future that is worth living for. And then Shane wakes up the next morning and the cycle begins again. The same routine, the same pain, the same hopelessness, the same drinking, the same thoughts about suicide, the same belief that he is worthless, that he is a burden, that everyone would be better off without him. And this cycle continues day after day, week after week, month after month, with no end in sight, with no hope of change, with no belief that things could be different, until the night when Shane stands at the cliff edge, until the night when the pain becomes too much, until the night when he seriously considers ending his life, when he stands at the precipice and looks down and thinks about how easy it would be to just step forward, to just let go, to just end this, to just make the pain stop. Shane's Six Heart event is one of the most powerful and emotionally intense moments in Stardew Valley, is a scene where the player finds Shane at the cliff edge near Marnie's ranch, drunk, contemplating suicide, standing at the precipice both literally and figuratively, at a point where he is considering ending his life, where the pain has become too much, where the hopelessness has overwhelmed him, where he cannot see a way forward, cannot imagine a future, cannot find a reason to continue existing. The player arrives just in time, talks to Shane, listens to him, and in that moment, in that conversation, Shane opens up about his pain, about his depression, about his belief that he is worthless, that he is a burden, that everyone would be better off if he were gone. This scene is handled with remarkable sensitivity by the game, does not trivialize Shane's pain, does not offer easy solutions, does not suggest that friendship or love or positive thinking can cure depression, but instead acknowledges the reality of mental illness, the seriousness of suicidal ideation, the importance of professional help and of ongoing support and of understanding that recovery is not linear, is not simple, is not something that happens quickly or easily. After the cliff scene, after Shane is taken to the hospital, after he survives that night, he begins to make changes in his life, begins to seek help, begins to see a therapist, begins to work on his mental health, begins to try to find healthier ways to cope with his pain, to manage his depression, to build a life that feels worth living. Shane does not stop drinking immediately, does not become suddenly happy, does not transform overnight into a different person, because that is not how recovery works. That is not how mental illness is treated. That is not the reality of what it means to struggle with depression and alcoholism and suicidal thoughts. Shane's recovery is gradual, is ongoing, is marked by setbacks and struggles, and moments where he slips back into old patterns, where he drinks too much, where he feels hopeless again, where he questions whether the effort is worth it, whether he can really change, whether life can really be different. Shane begins seeing a therapist in Zuzu City, makes the trip regularly, sits in the waiting room feeling awkward and uncomfortable, and like he does not belong there, like therapy is for other people, for people who have real problems, for people who deserve help, not for someone like him who is just weak, who is just failing at life, who should be able to handle his problems on his own without needing professional help. But Shane goes anyway, goes because he promised the player that he would try, goes because he survived the cliff edge, and some part of him, some small part that he barely acknowledges, wants to live, wants to believe that life can be different, wants to find a way forward even if he cannot see it yet, even if he does not believe it is possible, even if he is terrified that he will fail, that therapy will not work, that he is beyond help, that he is too broken to be fixed. Shane's therapy sessions are difficult, are painful, are sessions where he has to talk about things he has never talked about before, has to confront feelings he has been avoiding, has to examine the beliefs he holds about himself, about his worth, about his place in the world, about whether he deserves to live, whether he deserves to be happy, whether he deserves to have a future. Shane's therapist is patient, is kind, is non-judgmental, does not tell Shane that he is wrong to feel the way he feels, does not dismiss his pain, does not offer platitudes or easy answers, but instead helps Shane understand his depression, helps him recognize the patterns of negative thinking that fuel his hopelessness, helps him develop coping strategies for when the pain becomes overwhelming, helps him understand that depression is an illness, is not a moral failing, is not something he chose, is not something he can simply overcome through willpower, but is something that requires treatment, requires ongoing management, requires patience and self-compassion, and the willingness to keep trying even when progress feels impossible, even when setbacks occur, even when the darkness threatens to pull him back under. Shane learns about cognitive behavioural therapy, learns about identifying negative thought patterns and challenging them, learns about the difference between thoughts and facts, learns that just because he believes he is worthless does not mean that he actually is worthless, that just because he feels like a burden does not mean that he actually is a burden, that just because he cannot see a future does not mean that a future does not exist. Shane learns about mindfulness, learns about being present in the moment rather than dwelling on the past or catastrophizing about the future, learns about breathing exercises and grounding techniques for when the anxiety becomes overwhelming, for when the suicidal thoughts return, for when he feels like he is spiraling and needs something to hold on to, something to anchor him, something to remind him that this moment will pass, that feelings are temporary, that he can survive this, that he has survived this before and he can survive it again. Shane learns about the connection between alcohol and depression, learns that while drinking provides temporary relief, it ultimately makes his depression worse, makes his mood more unstable, interferes with his sleep, affects his physical health, impairs his judgment, increases his risk of acting on suicidal thoughts, creates a cycle where he drinks to cope with depression and the drinking, makes the depression worse, and the worse depression makes him drink more, and the cycle continues, deepening, worsening, pulling him further down. Shane's therapist does not tell him that he must stop drinking immediately, does not give him ultimatums, does not shame him for his addiction, but instead helps him understand the impact that alcohol is having on his mental health, helps him explore his relationship with alcohol, helps him identify the triggers that lead to drinking, helps him develop alternative coping strategies, helps him set goals for reducing his alcohol consumption, for finding healthier ways to manage his pain, for building a life where he does not need to drink to survive each day. Shane's recovery is not linear, is not a straight path from despair to happiness, is not a simple progression from sick to well, but is instead a winding journey with ups and downs, with good days and bad days, with periods of progress and periods of setback, with moments where he feels hopeful and moments where he feels like he is back at the beginning, like he has made no progress at all, like he will never get better, like he should just give up because recovery is too hard, too painful, too much work for someone who is not sure that he is worth the effort. Shane has days where he does not drink, where he goes to work and comes home and spends time with Jazz and goes to bed sober and feels proud of himself, feels like he is making progress, feels like maybe he can do this, maybe he can change, maybe life can be different. And Shane has days where he drinks too much, where he goes to the saloon and loses track of how many beers he has had and stumbles home drunk and wakes up with a hangover and feels like a failure, feels like he has let everyone down, feels like he'll never be able to stop drinking, never be able to overcome his addiction, never be able to be the person he wants to be. Shane's therapist reminds him that setbacks are part of recovery, that relapse does not mean failure, that one bad day does not erase all the progress he has made, that recovery is about progress, not perfection, about trying again after falling, about getting back up after being knocked down, about continuing to move forward even when the path is difficult, even when the journey feels impossible, even when he wants to give up. Shane learns to be more compassionate with himself, learns to treat himself with the same kindness and understanding that he would offer to someone else who was struggling, learns to recognise that he is doing his best, that he is trying, that he is making an effort, and that effort matters, that trying matters, that showing up matters even when he does not feel like he is making progress, even when he does not feel like he is getting better, even when he does not feel like he is worth the effort. Shane's relationship with Jazz begins to improve as he works on his recovery, as he drinks less, as he is more present, as he is more engaged in her life, as he makes an effort to be the godfather she deserves, to be someone she can rely on, someone she can trust, someone who is there for her not just physically but emotionally, not just in the same house but actually present, actually paying attention, actually caring about her day and her feelings and her experiences. Shane starts eating dinner with Jazz and Marnie more often, starts asking Jazz about her day, about her friends, about what she's learning, about what she's interested in, starts being a part of her life in a way that he has not been before, in a way that he could not be when he was drowning in depression and alcohol, when he was barely surviving, when he had nothing left to give to anyone else, because he was using all his energy just to keep himself alive, just to get through each day, just to not act on the suicidal thoughts that plagued him constantly. Jazz notices the change in Shane, notices that he is drinking less, that he is home more, that he is paying attention to her, that he is trying, and while she does not fully understand what Shane has been going through, does not fully comprehend the depth of his depression or the seriousness of his suicidal ideation, she knows that something is different, that Shane is different, that he is trying to be better, and this effort, this attempt to change, this willingness to show up and be present, means something to Jazz, means that Shane cares about her, means that she matters to him, means that he is trying to be the godfather she needs even if he does not always succeed, even if he still has bad days, even if he still struggles. Marnie also notices the change in Shane, is relieved to see him drinking less, is grateful to see him engaging more with Jazz, is hopeful that he is finally getting the help he needs, that he is finally addressing his mental health, that he is finally taking steps toward recovery. Marnie has been worried about Shane for a long time, has watched him spiral into depression and alcoholism, has seen him withdraw from life, has noticed the signs that he was struggling, that he was in pain, that he was not okay, but Marnie did not know how to help, did not know what to say, did not know how to reach him when he was pushing everyone away, when he was refusing help, when he was insisting that he was fine even when it was obvious that he was not fine, that he was falling apart, that he was in crisis. Marnie is not a therapist, is not a mental health professional, is not equipped to treat Shane's depression or his alcoholism, but she is family, is someone who cares about him, is someone who wants him to be okay, and seeing him make an effort to get better, seeing him work on his recovery, seeing him try to build a better life, gives Marnie hope, gives her relief, gives her the belief that Shane will be okay, that he will survive this, that he will find a way forward. But Shane also finds new purpose, discovers a passion for raising chickens, for breeding blue chickens specifically, for creating something, for nurturing life, for having a project that gives him a reason to get up in the morning, a goal to work toward, a sense of accomplishment when he succeeds, when he breeds a blue chicken, when he sees the results of his care and his effort and his dedication. The chickens become Shane's anchor, become a source of meaning in his life, become something that he cares about, that he is good at, that gives him a sense of identity beyond his depression, beyond his job at Jojamart, beyond his role as Jass's godfather, beyond all the ways that he has defined himself through his failures and his inadequacies and his belief that he is worthless. The chickens are not a cure for Shane's depression, are not a solution to all his problems, but they are a beginning, are a small step toward building a life that feels worth living, toward finding meaning and purpose and joy in a world that has felt empty and hopeless for so long. Shane's interest in chickens begins casually, begins with helping Marnie with the animals on the ranch, begins with feeding the chickens and collecting eggs, and noticing the different personalities of the birds, the way some are friendly and curious, and others are shy and skittish, the way they have routines and preferences and behaviours that are unique to each individual bird, Shane finds that he enjoys working with the chickens, enjoys the simplicity of caring for them, enjoys the fact that chickens do not judge him, do not care about his depression or his alcoholism or his failures, do not expect anything from him except food and water and a clean coop, do not require him to be anything other than what he is, do not demand that he be happy or functional or successful, just that he show up, that he take care of them, that he be present. Shane starts spending more time with the chickens, starts learning about different breeds, starts researching chicken care and chicken behaviour and chicken breeding, starts becoming genuinely interested in the science and the art of raising healthy, happy chickens. Shane learns about nutrition, about the importance of a balanced diet for chickens, about the different types of feed and supplements and treats that can improve egg production, improve feather quality, improve overall health. Shane learns about coop design, about the importance of ventilation and space and nesting boxes and roosts, about how to create an environment where chickens feel safe and comfortable and able to express their natural behaviours. Shane learns about chicken health, about common diseases and parasites and how to prevent them, how to recognise signs of illness, how to treat minor health issues, when to call a veterinarian. Shane becomes particularly interested in breeding blue chickens, in creating a line of chickens with that distinctive blue-grey plumage, in understanding the genetics behind the coloration, in selecting breeding pairs that will produce offspring with the desired traits. Shane learns about dominant and recessive genes, about how colour is inherited, about the importance of genetic diversity, about how to avoid inbreeding, about how to select for health and temperament as well as appearance. Shane's blue chicken project becomes his passion, becomes something that he thinks about when he is at work, something that he looks forward to when he comes home, something that gives him a reason to stay sober, to be present, to take care of himself so that he can take care of his chickens, so that he can continue working on his breeding project, so that he can see the results of his efforts, can watch his blue chickens grow and thrive and produce the next generation. Shane's first successful blue chicken is a moment of pure joy, is a moment where he feels proud of himself, where he feels like he has accomplished something meaningful, where he feels like he is good at something, like he has value, like he has something to contribute, like he is more than just his depression and his alcoholism and his failures. Shane names the blue chicken Charlie, keeps Charlie separate from the other chickens at first, watches Charlie carefully to make sure the bird is healthy and thriving, takes photos of Charlie to document the achievement, shows Charlie to Jazz and to Marnie, and to the player if they are married to him, shares his excitement and his pride and his sense of accomplishment with the people who care about him, with the people who have supported him through his recovery, with the people who have believed in him even when he did not believe in himself. Shane's blue chicken breeding project expands, becomes a small operation where he is breeding multiple blue chickens, where he is experimenting with different breeding pairs, where he is keeping detailed records of genetics and offspring and traits, where he is learning and growing and developing expertise in something that he cares about, something that matters to him, something that gives his life meaning and purpose beyond just surviving, beyond just getting through each day, beyond just trying not to drink, beyond just trying not to think about suicide. The chickens give Shane a reason to live, give him something to care about, give him a project that requires him to be present, to be sober, to be functional, to be responsible. And in taking care of the chickens, in nurturing them and breeding them and watching them thrive, Shane learns to take care of himself, learns to nurture himself, learns to believe that he is worth taking care of, that his life has value, that he has something to offer, that he deserves to be here, that he deserves to have a future. Shane's relationship with the player, if they pursue a romantic relationship with him, is complicated, is marked by Shane's ongoing struggles with mental health and addiction, is marked by his fear of being a burden, his fear of not being good enough, his fear of letting the player down, his fear of being abandoned when the player realises how broken he is, how much work he is, how much effort it takes to be in a relationship with someone who is struggling with depression and alcoholism. Shane is hesitant to open up to the player, is hesitant to let them in, is hesitant to believe that they could genuinely care about him, that they could want to be with him, that they could see past his flaws and his failures and his struggles and still choose him, still want him, still believe that he is worth loving. But the player is patient, is kind, is persistent in their affection, in their support, in their belief that Shane is worth the effort, that he is worth caring about, that he deserves love and happiness and a future, and slowly, gradually, Shane begins to believe it too, begins to let the player in, begins to open up about his struggles, begins to share his fears and his hopes and his dreams, begins to believe that maybe he can have a relationship, maybe he can be a good partner, maybe he can build a life with someone, maybe he can be happy. Shane's heart events with the player are moments of vulnerability, are moments where Shane shares parts of himself that he has kept hidden, are moments where he allows himself to be seen, to be known, to be loved despite his flaws, despite his struggles, despite his belief that he is not good enough, that he does not deserve this, that the player will eventually realise their mistake and leave him. Shane's 8-heart event takes place in Marnie's ranch, in the chicken coop, where Shane shows the player his blue chickens, shares his passion for breeding, shares his pride in what he has accomplished, shares his hope for the future, shares his belief that maybe, just maybe, life can be good, that he can have things that he cares about, that he can build a life that feels worth living. Shane gives the player a blue chicken, shares this thing that he loves with the person he is beginning to love, creates a connection between his passion and his relationship, between the thing that gives his life meaning and the person who makes him believe that he deserves to have meaning in his life, that he deserves to be happy, that he deserves to have a future. If the player marries Shane, if they build a relationship with him, if they support him through his recovery, Shane moves to the farm, brings his chickens with him, continues to work on his mental health, continues to see his therapist, continues to struggle with his depression and his alcoholism, but also continues to try, continues to make an effort, continues to believe on his good days, that life can be worth living, that he can be a good partner, that he can contribute to the farm and to the relationship and to building a life together. Shane's post-marriage dialogue and behaviour reflect the reality of living with mental illness. He still has bad days, still struggles with depression, still sometimes drinks too much, still sometimes feels hopeless, but he also has good days, also experiences joy, also feels grateful for the player's support, also believes that he is making progress, that he is becoming a better person, that he is building a life that he wants to live. Shane's room in the farmhouse, if the player marries him, is messy, is cluttered, is not the pristine, organised space that some players expect, and this has been a source of controversy in the Stardew Valley community, has been criticised as unrealistic, as suggesting that Shane has not really recovered, that he is still struggling, that marriage has not fixed him. But Shane's messy room is actually a realistic portrayal of what it means to live with depression, what it means to be in recovery, what it means to be trying to build a better life while still struggling with mental illness. Depression affects executive function, affects motivation, affects the ability to maintain routines and to keep spaces organised. And the fact that Shane's room is messy does not mean that he has not made progress, does not mean that he is not trying, does not mean that he is not in recovery. It means that he is a real person with a real mental illness who is doing his best, who is making an effort, who is trying to build a better life even though he still struggles, even though he still has bad days, even though recovery is not a straight line from sick to well, but is a winding path with ups and downs and setbacks and progress and ongoing effort. Shane's post-marriage dialogue includes moments where he expresses gratitude for the player's support, where he acknowledges that he is still struggling but that he is trying, where he shares his fears about being a burden, about not being good enough, about letting the player down, and these moments of vulnerability, these moments of honesty, these moments where Shane shares his ongoing struggles are important, are realistic, are a reminder that mental illness does not disappear when someone gets married, does not vanish when someone falls in love, does not cease to exist just because someone has found happiness, but is an ongoing condition that requires ongoing management, ongoing treatment, ongoing support, ongoing effort. Shane also has dialogue where he expresses joy, where he talks about his chickens, where he shares his excitement about breeding projects, where he mentions that he is glad he is alive, that he is grateful for the life he has built with the player, that he is happy, and these moments of joy, these moments of gratitude, these moments where Shane acknowledges that life is worth living, that he is glad he survived, that he is building a life that he wants to live, are equally important, are equally realistic, are a reminder that recovery is possible, that people with mental illness can have happy, fulfilling lives, that depression and alcoholism do not define a person, do not determine their worth, do not prevent them from experiencing love and joy and meaning and purpose. If the player marries Shane, if they build a relationship with him, if they support him through his recovery, Shane moves to the farm, brings his chickens with him, continues to work on his mental health, continues to see his therapist, continues to struggle with his depression and his alcoholism, but also continues to try, continues to make an effort, continues to believe, on his good days, that life can be worth living, that he can be a good partner, that he can contribute to the farm and to the relationship and to building a life together. Shane's post-marriage dialogue and behaviour reflect the reality of living with mental illness. He still has bad days, still struggles with depression, still sometimes drinks too much, still sometimes feels hopeless, but he also has good days, also experiences joy, also feels grateful for the players' support, also believes that he is making progress, that he is becoming a better person, that he is building a life that he wants to live. Let your eyes remain closed, let your body sink even deeper into the comfort of your bed, let your mind begin to drift as we turn our attention to Pam, as we explore her story, as we understand what brought her to where she is, as we witness her struggles with alcoholism and unemployment, and the weight of being a single mother in a small town where everyone knows your business, where your failures are visible, where your struggles are the subject of gossip and judgment and pity. Pam lives in a trailer just west of the river in Pelican Town, lives there with her daughter Penny, in a small cramped space that is all they can afford, that is a constant reminder of their poverty, of their lack of options, of the way that Pam's life has not turned out the way she hoped, the way she planned, the way she believed it would when she was younger, when she had dreams, when she thought that the future held possibilities and opportunities and the chance to build something better. Pam was the driver of the Pelican Town bus before it broke down, had a job that she enjoyed, that gave her purpose, that allowed her to contribute to the community, that provided income to support herself and Penny, that gave her a sense of identity and value and usefulness. Pam loved driving the bus, loved the routine of it, loved being the person who connected Pelican Town to the wider world, who took people to the Calico Desert, who provided a service that was needed, that was appreciated, that made her feel like she mattered, like she was important, like she had a role to play in the community. But the bus broke down, the service stopped operating, and Pam lost her job, lost her income, lost her sense of purpose, lost the thing that had given her life structure and meaning, and a reason to get up in the morning and to believe that she was contributing something, that she was valuable, that she had worth. Pam's life before the bus broke down was not perfect, was not without struggles, was not without challenges, but it was stable, was functional, was a life where she had a job and an income, and a routine and a sense of purpose. Pam woke up early every morning, got dressed in her bus driver uniform, made sure the bus was clean and fueled and ready for passengers, drove her route to the Calico Desert and back, transported townspeople and visitors and the occasional tourist, made small talk with passengers, enjoyed the solitude of the drive, enjoyed the responsibility of being trusted with people's safety, enjoyed the satisfaction of doing her job well, of being reliable, of being someone that people could count on. Pam was proud of her work as a bus driver, was proud of the fact that she had a job, that she was supporting herself and Penny, that she was contributing to the community, that she was not relying on charity or handouts or the pity of others, that she was standing on her own 2 feet, that she was making her own way in the world even if it was not glamorous, even if it was not prestigious, even if it was not the life she'd dreamed of when she was young. Pam's relationship with Penny before the bus broke down was complicated, was marked by the typical tensions between a single mother and a teenage daughter, by disagreements about rules and expectations and responsibilities, by Penny's desire for independence and Pam's desire to protect her, by the financial stress of living on a bus driver's salary, by the cramped quarters of the trailer, by the lack of privacy, by the awareness that they were poor, that they had less than other families in Pelican Town, that they could not afford the things that other people took for granted. But despite these tensions, despite these struggles, Pam and Penny had a relationship, had moments of connection, had times when they laughed together, when they supported each other, when they were a team, when they were family, when they loved each other even if they did not always like each other, even if they did not always get along, even if they did not always understand each other. The bus breaking down was a catastrophe for Pam, was an event that changed everything, that took away her job and her income and her sense of purpose and her identity as a bus driver, that left her unemployed and directionless and struggling to figure out what to do next, how to support herself and Penny, how to pay the rent on the trailer, how to buy food and pay bills and survive without the steady paycheck that she had relied on, that she had built her life around, that she had taken for granted until it was gone. Pam tried to find other work, tried to get another job, tried to find something, anything, that would provide income, that would allow her to support herself and Penny. that would give her back the sense of purpose and identity that she had lost when the bus stopped running. But Pam had limited skills, had limited education, had spent years as a bus driver, and had not developed other marketable abilities, had not pursued training or certifications or education that would qualify her for other types of work. Pam applied for jobs in Pelican Town, applied to work at Pierre's General Store, applied to work at the Stardrop Saloon, applied to work anywhere that might hire her, but there were no openings, no opportunities, no one who needed a middle-aged woman with no skills beyond driving a bus, no one who was willing to take a chance on her, no one who saw her as valuable, as worth hiring, as someone who could contribute. Pam applied for jobs in Zuzu City, made the trip to the city to interview, to fill out applications to try to find work. But the city was competitive, was full of younger workers with more education and more skills and more experience in fields that Pam knew nothing about, and Pam could not compete, could not get hired, could not find a way to support herself and Penny through traditional employment. Pam's unemployment stretched from weeks to months, from months to years, became a permanent state, became her new reality, became the defining feature of her life, the thing that shaped her days and her sense of self and her relationship with Penny and her relationship with the community. Pam had no job, no income beyond whatever savings she had managed to accumulate and whatever odd job she could pick up, no routine, no structure, no reason to get up in the morning, no sense of purpose, no belief that she was contributing anything, that she was valuable, that she mattered. Pam's unemployment was not just about the lack of money, not just about the financial stress, not just about the difficulty of paying bills and buying food and surviving on limited resources. It was about her identity, about her sense of self, about her belief in her own worth and her place in the community and her ability to be a good mother to Penny. The loss of her job was devastating for Pam. It was not just about the money, not just about the income, but was about her identity, about her sense of self, about her belief in her own value and her place in the community. Pam became unemployed, had no other job prospects, had no other skills that were in demand, had no way to earn money except through odd jobs or through relying on whatever savings she had, or through the charity of others, and this unemployment, this lack of purpose, this sense of being useless, of being a burden, of being someone who no longer contributed, who no longer mattered, who no longer had a role to play, drove Pam to drink, drove her to spend her days at the Stardrop Saloon, drove her to use alcohol to numb the pain of her failure, to escape the reality of her situation, to forget for a few hours that her life had fallen apart, that she had let down her daughter, that she was not the mother she wanted to be, not the person she had hoped to become. Pam's alcoholism is her primary character trait in the game, is the thing that defines her in the eyes of most players, is what people notice first, what they remember, what they associate with her name. Pam drinks heavily, drinks daily, spends her mornings recovering from hangovers, spends her afternoons and evenings at the saloon, drinking beer, spiking the punch at festivals, making inappropriate comments, being loud and embarrassing, and the subject of gossip and judgment from the other townspeople who see her drinking, who know about her problem, who whisper about her behind her back, who pity Penny for having to deal with an alcoholic mother, who wonder why Pam doesn't just stop drinking, why she doesn't just get her life together, why she doesn't just be a better mother, as if alcoholism were a choice, as if addiction was simply a matter of willpower, as if Pam could just decide to stop and everything would be fine. But alcoholism is not a choice, is not a moral failing, is not something that can be overcome through willpower alone. It is an addiction, is a disease, is a condition that affects the brain, that creates physical and psychological dependence, that makes it incredibly difficult to stop drinking, even when the person wants to stop, even when they know that their drinking is hurting them, and hurting the people they love, even when they can see the consequences of their addiction playing out in their lives, in their relationships, in their health, in their ability to function. Pam's drinking is a response to pain, is a way of coping with the loss of her job, with the shame of her unemployment, with the guilt of not being able to provide for Penny the way she wants to, with the sense of failure that permeates her life, with the belief that she has let everyone down, that she is not good enough, that she is a disappointment, that she is worthless. Pam's relationship with her daughter Penny is complicated, is marked by love and resentment, by guilt and anger, by the desire to be a good mother and the reality of falling short. by Penny's attempts to take care of the household, and Pam's awareness that her daughter should not have to be the responsible one, should not have to be the adult, should not have to clean up after her mother, should not have to worry about whether there will be food in the trailer, whether the bills will be paid, whether Pam will come home drunk again, whether there will be another fight, another disappointment, another reminder that their life is not what it should be, that Pam is not the mother that Penny deserves. Penny loves her mother, cares about her, wants to help her. But Penny is also tired, is also frustrated, is also resentful of the burden that has been placed on her, of the fact that she has to be the responsible one, has to take care of the household, has to worry about her mother's drinking, has to deal with the embarrassment of having an alcoholic parent in a small town where everyone knows, where everyone judges, where everyone has an opinion about Pam and about Penny and about their situation. Penny dreams of leaving the trailer, of starting a family, of having a life that is different from the one she has now, a life where she is not defined by her mother's alcoholism, where she's not trapped in poverty, where she has opportunities and choices and the chance to build something better. Penny is shy, is modest, is reserved, lacks grand ambitions beyond the simple desire for a stable, loving home, for a partner who will treat her well, for children who will grow up in a better environment than she did, for a life that is quiet and peaceful, and free from the chaos and the pain and the shame that have defined her childhood and her adolescence. Penny's dreams are not extravagant, are not unrealistic, are simply the dreams of someone who has grown up in difficult circumstances and who wants something better, something different, something that feels like home in a way that the trailer never has, in a way that life with Pam never could. When the player repairs the bus, when they complete the vault bundles at the community centre, or purchase the bus repair through the Joja Community Development Form, Pam gets her job back, returns to work as the bus driver, regains the sense of purpose and identity that she lost when the bus broke down, regains the income that allows her to contribute to the household, regains the routine and the structure and the feeling of being useful, of being needed, of having a role to play in the community. Pam is grateful for this, is happy to be working again, is proud to be the bus driver once more, and this return to work is a turning point for her, is a step toward recovery, toward building a better life, toward being the person she wants to be, the mother she wants to be for Penny. The day that the bus is repaired, the day that Pam learns that she will have her job back, is one of the most important days of her life, is a day that changes everything, that gives her hope for the first time in years, that makes her believe that maybe things can be different, that maybe she can have a future, that maybe she can be more than just an unemployed alcoholic living in a trailer, more than just a burden to her daughter, more than just the subject of gossip and pity in Pelican Town. Pam cries when she learns that the bus is fixed, cries tears of relief and gratitude and hope, cries because she's been given a second chance, because someone believed that she was worth helping, because the player invested the resources and the effort to repair the bus not just for their own benefit, not just to access the Calico Desert, but also to give Pam back her job, to give her back her purpose, to give her back her identity as the bus driver, as someone who contributes, as someone who matters. Pam's first day back at work is nerve-wracking, is terrifying, is a day where she worries that she has forgotten how to drive the bus, that she will make mistakes, that she will disappoint people, that she will prove that she was not worth helping, that the player made a mistake in repairing the bus, that she does not deserve this second chance. Pam wakes up early, earlier than she has woken up in years, gets dressed in her bus driver uniform that she has kept all this time, that she has held on to even when she had no job, even when she had no reason to believe that she would ever wear it again, even when keeping it felt like holding on to a dream that would never come true. Pam looks at herself in the mirror, sees the bus driver uniform, sees herself as a bus driver again, and for the first time in years she feels like herself, feels like she has an identity beyond her alcoholism, beyond her unemployment, beyond her failures, feels like she is someone, like she matters, like she has a purpose. Pam drives the bus that first day with her hands shaking, with her heart pounding, with her mind racing with worries and fears and doubts. But she does it. She drives the route to the Calico Desert and back. She transports passengers safely. She does her job. And when the day is over, when she parks the bus and turns off the engine and sits in the driver's seat for a moment, she feels proud, feels accomplished, feels like she has done something meaningful, something important, something that matters. Pam's return to work is not a cure for her alcoholism, does not make her stop drinking immediately, does not solve all her problems, but it is a beginning, is a foundation, is something to build on, is a reason to get up in the morning, is a reason to stay sober during the day, is a reason to believe that she can be more than her addiction, that she can have a life that is worth living, that she can be a mother that Penny can be proud of. Pam's drinking decreases after she returns to work. Not dramatically, not immediately, but gradually, slowly, over time, as she has a reason to stay sober during the day, as she has responsibilities that require her to be functional, as she has a routine that gives her life structure, as she has an identity that is not defined by her alcoholism, as she has a purpose that makes her feel valuable, that makes her feel like she matters, that makes her feel like she's contributing something, that she is not just a burden, not just a failure, not just someone who is taking up space and using resources and disappointing everyone around her. Pam still drinks, still goes to the Stardrop Saloon in the evenings, still has nights where she drinks too much, still has mornings where she wakes up with a hangover. But the drinking is less frequent, is less severe, is less central to her identity, is less the defining feature of her life. Because now she is also a bus driver, is also someone with a job, is also someone who contributes, is also someone who has a purpose, is also someone who matters. Pam's relationship with Penny improves after Pam returns to work. Not dramatically, not immediately, but gradually, slowly, over time. As Pam is more present, as Pam is more functional, as Pam is contributing to the household financially, as Pam is less of a burden, as Pam is more of a mother, as Pam is trying, is making an effort, is showing up, is being the person that Penny needs her to be, even if she is not perfect, even if she still struggles, even if she still drinks, even if she still has bad days. Penny notices the change in Pam, notices that she's working again, notices that she's drinking less, notices that she's trying, and while Penny is still frustrated, is still resentful, is still carrying the burden of having been the responsible one for so long, she is also hopeful, is also relieved, is also grateful that her mother is making an effort, that her mother is trying to be better, that her mother is showing that she cares, that Penny matters to her, that their relationship matters to her, that she wants to be a good mother even if she does not always succeed, even if she still struggles, even if recovery is difficult and slow and marked by setbacks. Pam and Penny start having dinner together more often, start talking more, start rebuilding their relationship, start finding moments of connection, start remembering that they love each other, that they are family, that they are all each other has, that they need to support each other, that they need to be there for each other, that they need to forgive each other for the pain and the resentment and the anger that have built up over the years of Pam's unemployment and alcoholism, over the years of Penny having to be the responsible one, over the years of their life in the trailer being defined by dysfunction and poverty and struggle. The healing is slow, is gradual, is not a straight line from broken to fixed, but is a winding path with ups and downs, with good days and bad days, with moments of connection and moments of conflict, with progress and setbacks, with hope and disappointment, but it is healing, it is progress, it is movement toward something better, toward a relationship that is healthier, that is more functional, that is more loving, that is more like what a mother-daughter relationship should be. If the player completes the community upgrade to build Pam a house, if they invest the resources and the money to give Pam and Penny a real home, a proper house, instead of the cramped trailer, Pam is overwhelmed with gratitude, is moved to tears, is unable to fully express how much this means to her, how much it changes her life, how much it represents hope and possibility, and the belief that things can be different, that she can have a better life, that she and Penny can have a home that they are proud of, that feels like a real home, that is not a constant reminder of their poverty and their struggles and their failures. The new house is not a cure for Pam's alcoholism, is not a solution to all her problems, but it is a beginning, is a foundation, is a physical manifestation of the idea that change is possible, that life can improve, that there is hope for a better future. The new house is beautiful, is spacious, is clean, is everything that the trailer was not, is a home that Pam and Penny can be proud of, that they can invite people to, that they can live in without feeling ashamed, without feeling like they are less than everyone else in Pelican Town, without feeling like their poverty defines them, without feeling like they are trapped in a life that they did, not choose, that they cannot escape, that will never get better. The new house has separate bedrooms for Pam and Penny, giving them privacy, giving them space, giving them the ability to have their own areas, their own sanctuaries, their own places where they can be alone. where they can have time to themselves, where they do not have to be constantly aware of each other's presence, constantly navigating the tension and the resentment and the complicated emotions that come with living in a cramped trailer where there is no escape, no privacy, no space to breathe. The new house has a kitchen, a real kitchen with counter space and cabinets and a stove and a refrigerator. A kitchen where Penny can cook real meals, where she can prepare food that is not just cheap and simple and designed to stretch their limited budget, where she can experiment with recipes, where she can create meals that are nourishing and delicious, and that make their house feel like a home, that make mealtimes feel like something to look forward to rather than just another reminder of their poverty, of their struggles, of the ways that their life is not what it should be. The new house has a living room, a space where Pam and Penny can sit together, can watch television, can talk, can spend time together in a way that was not possible in the trailer, where every space was cramped and uncomfortable, and a reminder of their poverty, where there was no room to relax, no room to be comfortable, no room to just exist without feeling like they were on top of each other, without feeling like they were trapped. Pam cries when she sees the new house for the first time, cries tears of gratitude and disbelief and hope, cries because she cannot believe that someone would do this for her, would invest the resources and the effort and the money to build her a house, to give her and Penny a real home, to show her that she matters, that she is worth helping, that she deserves better than the trailer, that she deserves to have a life that is not defined by poverty and struggle and shame. Pam thanks the player, tries to express her gratitude, tries to find words that are adequate to convey how much this means to her, how much this changes her life, how much hope this gives her, but the words are not enough, cannot capture the depth of her emotion, cannot express the magnitude of what this gift means to her, to Penny, to their relationship, to their future. The new house changes Pam's relationship with alcohol, not immediately, not dramatically, but gradually over time, as she has a home that she is proud of, as she has a space that she wants to take care of, as she has a reason to be present, to be functional, to be someone who maintains her home, who keeps it clean, who treats it with respect, who does not want to ruin this gift, does not want to destroy this opportunity, does not want to prove that she was not worth helping, that she does not deserve this house, that she'll just mess it up the way she has messed up everything else in her life. Pam drinks less after moving into the new house, is more conscious of her drinking, is more aware of the impact that her alcoholism has on Penny, on their relationship, on their home, is more motivated to change, to get better, to be the person she wants to be, the mother she wants to be, the woman who deserves to live in this beautiful house, who deserves to have a life that is not defined by addiction and poverty and shame. Pam starts attending AA meetings in Zuzu City, makes the trip regularly, sits in the circle with other people who are struggling with alcoholism, listens to their stories, shares her own story, finds community, finds support, finds people who understand what she's going through, who do not judge her, who do not pity her, who simply accept her as she is, as someone who is struggling, as someone who is trying, as someone who deserves help and support and the belief that recovery is possible, that change is possible, that she can build a better life. Pam's attendance at AA is irregular at first, is marked by missed meetings and relapses and moments where she gives up, where she decides that recovery is too hard, that she cannot do it, that she is not worth the effort, but she keeps coming back, keeps trying, keeps showing up, keeps making an effort, and slowly, gradually over time, the meetings become a regular part of her routine, become something that she looks forward to, become a source of support and strength and hope. Pam's recovery is not linear, is not a straight path from addiction to sobriety, is not a simple progression from broken to fixed, but is a winding journey with ups and downs, with good days and bad days, with periods of sobriety and periods of relapse, with moments where she feels hopeful and moments where she feels like she is back at the beginning, like she has made no progress at all, like she will never get better, like she should just give up because recovery is too hard, too painful, too much work for someone who is not sure that she is worth the effort. Pam has days where she does not drink, where she goes to work and comes home and spends time with Penny, and goes to bed sober and feels proud of herself, feels like she's making progress, feels like maybe she can do this, maybe she can change, maybe life can be different. And Pam has days where she drinks too much, where she goes to the saloon and loses track of how many beers she has had, and stumbles home drunk and wakes up with a hangover and feels like a failure, feels like she has let everyone down, feels like she'll never be able to stop drinking, never be able to overcome her addiction, never be able to be the person she wants to be. But Pam keeps trying, keeps showing up, keeps making an effort, keeps attending AA meetings, keeps going to work, keeps being present in Penny's life, keeps taking care of the new house, keeps believing, on her good days, that recovery is possible, that she can change, that she can build a better life, that she can be a good mother, that she deserves to have a future, that she deserves to be happy, that she deserves to live in the beautiful house that the player built for her, that she deserves to have a relationship with Penny that is healthy and loving and not defined by resentment and anger and the burden of Pam's addiction. Pam's recovery is ongoing, is a lifelong process, is not something that will ever be complete, will ever be finished, will ever be over, but is something that she works on every day, something that she commits to every day, something that she chooses every day, and that choice, that commitment, that ongoing effort is what recovery is what it means to be in recovery, is what it means to be trying to build a better life while living with addiction, while struggling with alcoholism, while carrying the weight of years of unemployment and poverty and shame and failure. Pam's heart events, her interactions with the player, her dialogue throughout the game reveal a woman who is struggling, who is aware of her failures, who feels guilty about her drinking and about the impact it has had on Penny, who wants to be better but does not know how, who is trapped in patterns of behaviour that she knows are destructive but that she cannot seem to break, who uses alcohol to cope with pain that she does not know how to process in healthier ways. Pam is not a bad person, is not someone who does not care, is not someone who is deliberately hurting her daughter, or deliberately failing to be a good mother. She is someone who is struggling with addiction, with unemployment, with poverty, with the weight of being a single parent in difficult circumstances, with the shame and the guilt and the sense of failure that come from not being able to provide the life she wants for her daughter, from not being able to be the person she wants to be. Let your breathing slow even further now. Let your consciousness begin to drift towards sleep. Let the weight of these stories settle over you like a blanket, heavy but somehow comforting in its completeness, as we reflect on what Shane and Pam's stories teach us, as we understand what their struggles reveal about mental illness and addiction, and the importance of compassion and support, and the recognition that recovery is possible, that change is possible, that people who are struggling deserve help and understanding rather than judgment and condemnation. Shane and Pam are both struggling with addiction, both using alcohol to cope with pain, both trapped in cycles of behaviour that they know are destructive, but that they find difficult to break, both aware of their failures and their shortcomings, and the ways that their struggles are affecting the people they love, both wanting to be better but not knowing how, not having the resources or the support or the knowledge to make the changes they need to make. Shane and Pam's stories are tragic, are stories of loss and pain and struggle, are stories of people who have been hurt by life, who have experienced trauma and disappointment and failure, who are doing their best to survive, to cope, to get through each day, even when each day feels like a burden, even when the future seems hopeless, even when they cannot see a way forward, cannot imagine that things could be different, cannot believe that life could be worth living. But Shane and Pam's stories are also stories of hope, are stories of recovery, are stories of people who, with support and with help, and with the belief that they matter, that they are worth saving, that they deserve a better life, can begin to make changes, can begin to heal, can begin to build lives that feel worth living, that have meaning and purpose and joy. Shane finds purpose in his chickens, finds meaning in breeding blue chickens, finds a reason to get up in the morning, finds something that he is good at, something that he cares about, something that gives him a sense of accomplishment and pride and identity beyond his depression and his job at Jojamart and his failures as Jass's godfather. Pam gets her job back, returns to work as the bus driver, regains her sense of purpose and identity, regains the income and the routine and the feeling of being useful and needed and valued by the community. These are small victories, are not complete recoveries, are not the end of their struggles, but they are beginnings, are steps forward, are evidence that change is possible, that recovery is possible, that people who are struggling can, with support and with help and with the belief that they matter, begin to build better lives. Shane and Pam's stories remind us that mental illness and addiction are not moral failings, are not choices, are not things that people can simply overcome through willpower or positive thinking. They are medical conditions, are diseases, are struggles that require professional help, that require ongoing support, that require compassion and understanding, and the recognition that recovery is not. Linear, is not simple, is not something that happens quickly or easily. Shane and Pam's stories remind us that people who are struggling deserve help, deserve support, deserve to be treated with dignity and respect, deserve to be seen as whole people, rather than as their struggles, as their addictions, as their failures. Shane and Pam are not just the alcoholic or the depressed guy. They are people with histories, with pain, with reasons for their struggles, with the capacity for change, with the potential for recovery, with the right to be treated with compassion and understanding rather than with judgment and condemnation. Let your body sink even deeper into relaxation now. Let your muscles become so loose that they feel like they might dissolve. Let your breathing become so slow and so gentle that it is barely distinguishable from stillness as we bring this exploration to its close, as we prepare to let you sleep, to let Shane and Pam's stories rest in your memory as tales told, as tragedies understood, as reminders of the importance of compassion and support and the recognition that everyone is fighting battles that we cannot see, that everyone carries pain that is not always visible, that everyone deserves kindness and understanding, and the belief that they matter, that they are worth saving, that they deserve a better life. Sleep now, friend, sleep deeply and completely. Let Shane and Pam's stories rest in your memory. Let their struggles be understood. Let their small victories be celebrated. Let their ongoing recovery be honoured. The stories are told, the pain is acknowledged, the hope is recognised, and now there is only sleep, only rest, only the gentle darkness that embraces all things and brings all stories to their close. Let the valley be your comfort. Let the seasons be your rhythm. Let the knowledge that recovery is possible, that change is possible, that people who are struggling can find hope and healing and better lives, be your peace as you drift into sleep, into darkness, into the space where all stories end and all consciousness fades and all beings find rest. Good night, friend. Good night to Shane and his chickens. Good night to Pam and her bus. Good night to Jazz and Penny and all those who love people who are struggling. Good night to Marnie and her ranch. Good night to the Stardrop Saloon and the trailer by the river and all the places in Pelican Town where these stories unfold. And good night to you. May your sleep be deep and dreamless. May you rest in the knowledge that all stories have been told, that all struggles have been acknowledged, that all pain has been witnessed and understood, and that in understanding, in acknowledging, in recognizing the humanity of those who struggle, we honor their stories, we support their recovery, and we create a world where compassion and understanding are more common than judgment and condemnation. Sleep now, sleep deeply. Let Shane and Pam's stories fade into memory, let their pain be acknowledged, let their hope be celebrated, and rest. Rest in the knowledge that recovery is possible, that change is possible, that people who are struggling deserve help and support, and the belief that they matter, that they are worth saving, that they deserve better lives. Good night. Sleep. The stories are complete. Rest.